Welcome back to Car-Pinionated, our slightly irreverent talk about cars, the car industry, and driving in general. I'm Doug Stewart, Senior Digital Content Producer at Fox 61 in Hartford. I'm joined by Jeff Buckholtz, who works at WBBM in Chicago. And we're joined by Maddie Cowdell, Assistant News Director at Fox 61, so she's my boss. All right, so this week we're going to talk about favorite road trips. All right, and Maddie, as a guest here, why don't you take the first shot?
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for having me. I know I'm in the right place. I'm a car girl. I love my Mini Cooper. She and I do 40,000 miles a year. So I'm so excited to be here.
That's great.
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite road trips on the East Coast is the Blue Ridge Parkway. Um, and I would be remiss if I didn't start a little bit further north and start on Skyline Drive in the Shenandoah National Park and connect to the Blue Ridge Parkway all the way down to Asheville, North Carolina. And just a really, really beautiful drive. Virginia is one of my favorite states, so I might be slightly biased, but um, starting Shenandoah National Park is one of my favorite national parks. Totally recommend you going there. This is great for hiking. I did the Appalachian Trail through there, all the way up north into Pennsylvania. I've done that whole trip, and it's just so peaceful. And the rolling hills, it's really, really fabulous. Luray Caverns is right near there along the road, which if you are interested, even the slightest bit interested in spelunking, it's very, very cool. And of course, they're in the South, right? So they have the stalactites and the stalagmites, really charming accent. But you can go caving. They have a lot of caves there with the Luray Caverns is really, really cool. And then follow the Blue Ridge Parkway all the way down. One of my favorite stops is Fancy Gap, which is toward the North Carolina border. So it's pretty far south in Virginia. But you just overlook this whole valley. You're way up high on top of the mountain, and it's like this 2-lane road, and you're super narrow, and you're like, am I going to fall off the cliff there? But it's you look down at this like beautiful green lush farmland. It's really, really cool. It's very fancy Gap. Check your calendar though if you're driving through there, because it goes right past Roanoke. And if you follow college sports, Virginia Tech is in Roanoke.
Oh yeah.
So the weekend that I drove through there, did not check the calendar. And let me tell you, there is not a hotel room to be found when the Hokies are playing. I was with my family, and we stopped in Roanoke because we had made it that far south, and it was time to stop. And nothing in Roanoke, Christiansburg, Radford, anything in that area. Because the Hokies were in town. They were playing a home game. And we ended up staying at we didn't have Yelp back then, but if it was on Yelp, it would be like a 2-star place. Just
that straw mattress. Yeah. Yeah.
Straw mattress. You laid your towels down on the bed. It was, oof. So just double check that there's no Hokies in town that day, as you're passing through Roanoke. But delightful people, really beautiful. And even further down into North Carolina, you have the Biltmore Estate.
Oh yeah,
there,
yeah.
Which is just stunning, right? I mean, you think about just the amount of wealth that family has. And it's just like it's our version, I think, of a castle, right? Like these big gorgeous rooms and huge windows that put in all that natural light in there, and the grounds on the outside, the gardens and the property itself is just really, really incredible and amazing. They do a great job of taking care of it. Such a cool experience. It kind of reminds me of Newport, right? Since we're all in the New England, well, two of us anyway, new in the New England area. The big houses in Newport. It reminded me very much of that. And then Asheville is just such a really cool, quirky place in the mountains. You're
Right.
at that place where the Blue Ridge and the Smokies come together. Um, the fog and the mountains is really cool. And it's got Asheville's got like some really cool architecture. I'm a sucker for architecture. And there's like an art community there, like a really fun, like quirky
Yeah,
artists
yeah,
and
yeah,
vendors
that's what
and
I've
stuff.
heard.
Yeah. So Blue Ridge Parkway, totally recommend it. Virginia to down to North Carolina.
Cool.
It's a really nice drive. Took it's a long weekend, 3-4 days. Really take advantage of it all. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think that was a really fun trip as a youth.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
How about you, Jeff?
So a few years ago, a friend at the time and I were looking for a way to commemorate our 50th birthdays. We were born very close to one another, and what we ultimately came up with was um, a cross-country drive on US 50, which begins in Sacramento, technically begins in Sacramento, California, and ends in Ocean City, Maryland, or I suppose begins in Ocean City and ends in Sacramento, depending on where you start. Um, and so this required, a bit of planning and a bit of sort of blocking beforehand. Um, we started actually in San Francisco and rented a car, a Ford Fusion Hybrid, which averaged 41 miles per gallon on the trip, which I thought was actually pretty impressive. And set out and made a few rules for ourselves. No chain restaurants, um, no no limited access highway driving if we could avoid it. And we set out, and it was really something. One of the first things that I found when I was researching the drive was and I now can't remember if it was the New York Times or the New Yorker or something that initially had coined US 50 through Nevada the loneliest road in America. Maddie, maybe you remember what the source was, because you and I had been
I
talking
was
about it before we began recording.
I was trying to remember. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
I can't
question.
remember. I can't remember either. However, the Nevada Tourism Bureau has done a wonderful job of kind of marketing that stretch of US 50. Like, you will find businesses and hotels along US 50 that you will stamp a passport that you can get that, I crossed the loneliest road in America. I did not grab a passport. I should have, now that I think about it. But it really it managed to cross through like just about every conceivable kind of terrain you could imagine. I mean, that part of Northern California, you go through, it takes you right through Reno and Tahoe. You sort of skirt the southern edge of Lake Tahoe on US 50 and right into Reno. And can be very mountainous. Certainly northern Nevada gets to be that way.
Yeah.
Um, you cross the Mississippi River on US 50 in St. Louis. And you drive through these really crazy little towns. Like I can't remember the name of the little town now. I think it was Nevada where we were. We happened to be driving through as there was like a little car show in the town, in the little town square, which was really fun and really silly. And at one time, that part of US 50 in that area where we were evidently had been Some of it had been paid for by General Motors. There was a plaque outside of the library in whatever town we were in. We went through these like old ghost mining towns, these little towns in Colorado, these towns in West Virginia. Clarksburg is the one that comes to mind, that you could tell the whole place was built with coal money in like the 20s and the 30s. And there's kind of nothing going on there now, but all of these, really impressive old bank buildings are still there
Right,
with the
yeah,
wrought iron
yeah.
on the windows and stuff. And that was interesting. And we everybody that we ran into was really nice. We saw some wonderful other towns that I would have never gone through. The little town of Vincennes, Indiana, has this WPA bridge and a museum that's right on the river there. That's
Very
really cool, and a great grounds and stuff. That was really neat. And it was just, it took a week. And the plan was fly to San Francisco, get the car, drive to Ocean City, spend the night in Ocean City, and then fly home from Philadelphia, which was the nearest sort of decent sized
Mhm.
airport that we could come up with. And
Unfortunately, in some ways,
well,
but
yeah, well, it wasn't so bad because we were leaving. Uh, Sorry to everybody from
yeah, we're
Philadelphia. I
really
actually love
sorry.
Philadelphia. No, I love
If-
Philadelphia. I can't,
Yep,
I can't bag
yep.
on it too much.
It's the airport that's yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But and it was really something. Like it was, and I didn't listen to any news. I wasn't really aware of what was happening. We were just sort of driving, and it was really this country, man. Like it's just so cool. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
so beautiful in ways that you kind of don't realize until you drive across it, Like, I mean,
Absolutely.
Arches National Park, and Maddie, because you drove 50 through, you would have driven right by Arches, really.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, all of those parks in Utah are just breathtaking. And in just the sort of remnants of Americana, sort of once the stuff that was left over when the expressways came in, is just really neat. Like I remember there being conversation about driving Route 66, and I feel like that a lot of people have done it, and it is worthwhile and it is interesting. But for me, driving 50, particularly at that time, was really a great trip, and just a terrific way to see different parts of
Mm.
the country. Like it was really, really cool.
I bring this up because I'm pretty sure the statute of limitations is done. But one of my favorite driving experiences ever was when we were in San Francisco for the NLGGA convention, and you described it at the time as winning rental car roulette when you got like a really high powered Dodge Challenger, and we went over we were coming back from Oakland, and like at dusk, and blasting across the Bay Bridge, and it was one of those moments that I
Yeah,
just will never ever forget.
it was a pretty
Oh,
great
look
day.
at you.
I had planned to rent a car. The convention had ended, and I had some friends who lived in Sacramento, actually, who still do, actually. And I was going to go visit them for the day, and so I drove out there, or I was going to drive out there. So I go down. The rental car desk is in our hotel, and I had reserved. I forget what I reserved. But it doesn't matter. And I asked the woman behind the desk, "What's the coolest thing you have in the garage right now?" "Well, somebody just brought back a Challenger." "Okay, that part." Uh, and so I wound up with a bright red Challenger RT
Yep.
with the Hemi V8 and the whole deal. And whipped that thing out to Sacramento and drove it back. And yeah, I actually still remember pulling up to the hotel to pick up Doug to drive out to Oakland to see our friends. And it was
Yeah, yeah.
It was it was a magical night, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that the New Bay Bridge, or were you there for the old one?
I
I
think
think it was the new one. I think
Really?
it was the new one. Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're saying the new one is post the Loma Prieta earthquake, then yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. It was, right up there. Right up
Mhm.
there.
It was a good day.
So cool.
Yeah.
That's such an easy bridge to go fast on.
Mhm.
I mean, I've definitely, me and my Mini Cooper have done many a trip over that Bay Bridge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Staying in California, I have done from Los Angeles to San Francisco two different ways. I've done the inland on the 5, and
Mhm.
I've done the Pacific Coast Highway. And the Pacific Coast Highway is simply just beautiful. You go through a whole bunch of, very not, just kind of average California rolling hills, and then all of a sudden you hit, I think it's in San Luis Obispo. Like all of a sudden you come out to the coast and you're right on the coast. And the way I would recommend to do this would be head north, so you have a whole lane between you and the precipitous drop off into the Pacific Ocean. Um, and just, every turn you come around some new vista, and you're like, oh, I bet they filmed a whole bunch of car commercials right here on this bridge. And you're absolutely right. And just, you can stop at Hearst Castle, which was magnificent under whatever circumstances. And you see all these like abandoned buildings or old buildings along the way. And it's just a really, really nice thing. And I, one of the times I did it, we ended up in Carmel by the Sea. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
And then going the rest of the way in the morning. But the a lot of times you have the fog there that's coming in and out, especially in the summer. It was just really cool. I really enjoyed that. The going up the 5 was different, and it was a lot more wide open spaces. But there were a lot of times there were signs as to what crop they were growing along this on the sides of the highway,
Oh.
which I thought was pretty cool. But and definitely faster than going up the PCH. And I don't know if it's the PCH at that point. I think it is. But yeah, so that was
I need to comment that I appreciate you calling it the 5. That warms my California heart.
Yeah.
It will always be the 5 freeway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Happy to.
The 405, the 101.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like in Chicago, nobody calls the expressways by their numbers. They all are called by their names.
Right.
Everybody
like the
knows
Dan
them
Ryan, the
exactly.
Wacker.
Everybody knows them as the Edens, the Kennedy, the Stevenson, the Eisenhower, and the Dan Ryan.
And is it always Dan Ryan and not just Ryan?
Sometimes it's the Ryan, but
Okay.
usually it's the Dan Ryan.
Yeah.
My experience driving 101, I've done it a couple times in a couple different directions. I've driven it from roughly Pacifica south to Monterey, through like
Nice.
Santa Cruz and stuff, which is a beautiful drive.
Mhm.
And then I've gone north, from the Golden Gate Bridge out into Marin and then up. My ambitious plan was to take the one from Marin I was trying to get to Crescent City.
Right.
I was on my way to visit my sister, who then and now lives in Portland. And I had set out, I don't know, probably midday-ish, and it was getting to be about 5:30, and I didn't feel like I'd gone very far. And then I looked at the map and I realized, in fact, I hadn't gone very far, and that night was about to fall, and I was nowhere near Crescent City. So I had to bail off the one, cut over to the 101 in some, I don't even know where I was, and then take the 101 up to the motel where my sister had gotten a room for me for the night, where literally all the paneling in the motel came from one redwood tree.
Totally believe that.
Yeah, 100%. So it was so my
Well-
record with the PCH with the US1 is kind of 50-50.
Yeah, I'm not much better. I came down around the Olympic Peninsula and then down the coast through Astoria and yada yada yada, and then got as far as those first cities in California. One of them starts with a B. It's been 30 years since I was there. But I don't think I made it to Crescent City because then I went back up.
Brookings.
I don't know if you call it the 5. at that
Brookings.
point.
Yeah. Okay.
Brookings.
Okay. And went back up. So I haven't done that Crescent City to San Francisco. That's my chunk that I haven't done on the West Coast.
Give yourself.
Oh,
2
and
days.
I'm sorry.
that's
Give yourself 2 days.
to kind of just put it into perspective. I love throwing out this fact. Just to how big California is. Crescent City is closer to Vancouver, British Columbia than it is to San Diego.
Wow.
In its own state.
Oh wow.
So
That's crazy.
you got to take your time if you're going going up to Crescent City. You're going to need that time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It's
And that's one
beautiful,
of those
though.
instances. Go ahead.
That's a really one of the best parts of the state is Humboldt County through the redwoods. You're right there along the coast. You can just smell the redwood trees, and you get that salty air from the ocean. It's perfect.
My favorite place on earth actually is the Pacific coast of Oregon, and you get that same kind of essence when you're walking along like Pacific City or Rockaway Beach or any of those places. It's just it's magnificent.
Yeah, the whole reason for the Olympic Peninsula trip is I wanted to see sea stacks. That was the thing. I just wanted to see them, and so it all worked out. Yeah. Okay, and I'm here from a little bit in the future. We had so much fun talking about different road trips that we're going to split this into 2 parts. And the next part will be next week when we'll talk about Florida, and we'll talk about Australia, and we'll talk about New York and Massachusetts. So join us next week for all that and more.